After being exposed to the myriad of career opportunities that exist in various industries, people usually move towards becoming qualified and adopting the means to becoming employed in the career they desire. However, just as technology has evolved, so have the prerequisites and skill sets to match what employers are now looking for. It's season 2 of Career Moves, and before we explore some of the emerging, unusual, and profitable career options, we visited the job bank and spoke to CEO Dr. Lakim Samaj on how best to sell yourself as employable. Learn new ways and sharpen old skills on this episode of Career Moves.
My name is Lakim Samaj. I'm a psychologist by training. I'm the CEO of the Job Bank. The Job Bank is one of the brands that we operate, the one that the public is most familiar with. And we give return on human capital, bank, job, so that some people think that we're an employment agency. No, we don't find jobs for people. We find people for jobs. So what we do to a large extent, companies will have us do their staffing. Company want to hire 10 people, 20 people. They will ask us to do the shortlisting. So we will do the advertising, we will do the psychometric testing, we will do the interviews, and then give them a short list to choose from. Now, on the other hand, now we help people with making themselves employable.
Even before people decide on the job they want, it's crucial to get a resume in order. Dr. Samaj tells us how to get it right.
Resume is probably the single most important piece of paper, but in a large extent, it's wasted many times because people get bad advice. The resume tends to be written from you, the individual perspective. No, it should be written from the employer's perspective, that they can find what they want easy. It's not for you to put what you want to put. That what are they looking for? What can this person do? What can this person do for me? How can I benefit from employing this person? So the person should be able to get that as easy as possible. People have this notion the resume is to get you a job. No. The resume is to get you an interview. Having read the resume, somebody said, listen, I want to talk to this person. Now, the most critical information on the resume is what are your skills and what have been your achievements. A lot of time people leave those things off. They spend all the time talking about their job description, I did this, I did that. No, we don't need all of that. Your name, your address, your email. A resume without an email means that you're not computer literate. And an email that's professional sounding, not hot girl number 7, bad boy number 6. No, you can't use that anymore, all right? But the critical thing, what are your skills and what have been your achievements? Based on what your skills are, and by the way, most people underestimate the number of skills they have. They take into consideration just their formal skills. Your achievements you get from school, from work, from extracurricular activity. You're the president, you're the secretary of a club, yeah. You got the best grade, your team did the best project. All of these things are achievements because based on your past achievement, people can make assumptions and predictions about what else you can do. So that's critical. There's a notion that a resume should be one page. Nonsense. Any amount of page you want it to be, but the most important page is the first page. Because if we're not impressed by the first page, we don't look for page 2 and 3 and 4. So on that first page should have all the critical information, as we said, how to get back to you, what are your skills, what have been your achievements, who are you? Typically, you apply for a job, the resume is pulled apart and photocopied, and pieces are sent to all the various people, so that you have no choice but to make sure your name is on every page. but the skills and the achievement critical. Assume that people who are reading resumes are largely over 30, over 40, and probably wear glasses. So when you have some 8-point and 6-point fancy font, no. You want to use the simplest, most open, rounded font. You want to make sure that you have your margins, and it's attractive to look at. It looks good. You know, it is well, the pages, the paragraphs and so on, even before you read it, it's appealing. So you want something that's attractive. Oh, no errors should be in it. No errors, no typographical errors, you know, no spelling errors, because everything there is amplified. Somebody said, my goodness, the person couldn't even say this. So you don't want to tamper with your resume too much, you know. Once you get it right, you keep it right. Because each time you're writing a new cover letter, but you want to keep that resume, you may have different types of resume. Let's say you have a technical resume for technical positions, or you have a resume for teaching positions, because you can also teach. But you want to get that resume done right, properly proofed, no errors in it, because everything in it is used as evidence against you to a large extent. Another important thing on resume is a sense of continuous education. If a resume says you completed a degree in 2002 and we see nothing after that, implied is that your brain has stopped working since 2002. So we'd like to see the short courses. Now people tend to, over time, they become very numerous. You can just combine them together. Numerous courses in customer service, in sales, what have you. But the sign that there was some continuous education taking place, that's important. It should cover your work history, but over a period of, after a certain point, we don't need to go back to look at part-time jobs when you're in school, right? Because it will be clear where your work history starts, where your academic process ended, and the short jobs that were just before you got to what you are now. Those can be packaged and put together and so on, numerous positions and so on, so on, so. But whatever it is you're packaging yourself as, but it should have your employment history. That should be packaged there so a person can see the progression that took place, how you went from one to the other to the other.
You may be surprised to know these two things that more often than not are unnecessary to put on a resume.
The first fluff area is when you have this, what are your objectives? That's your private fantasy. Well, my objective is to own my own company one day, and no, we don't need to know that. So that's where the fluff begins, all these wonderful things and all the words you do. I'm a committed person, a team player. Everybody says those things. So I'd rather hear, what do you package yourself as? What do you see yourself as? And once we do that, here are my skills, here are my achievements. So things that are quantifiable, things that can be defined, things that can be verified. So if you say you have a particular skill, you should be in a position somebody asks you about it. Yeah, you can tell them, here's what you do. Interest and skill are not the same. Skills are something you can do and you can do very well. Interests, literally again, that's private fantasy. The fact you're interested in, that doesn't sell anything, that I can't do anything with that. But I can build on your skills. I can use your skills. The fact your interest is what you use to acquire skills. If you're interested in something, you're motivated to learn it and to do it. Now, what are the skills that you have taken away as a result of this interest? So the interests are secondary. Anything they ask in the cover letter that you don't have, offer them something else in return. You require 3 years experience. I have worked for 2 years, but the things I've accomplished in 2 years is equivalent to probably 5. Sell yourself.
The main factor would be uneducated people who aren't educated to work. That would be a big factor. People just kind of lackadaisical too and prefer the hustling mentality.
It's not balanced. Sometimes you send in your resume, it not necessarily means that you get the work. Because some of the time, them already know who them are going to get the position. Yeah. And that type of role we live in, or a so Jamaica set up. Who you know some of the time.
Punctuality. If the employer is there before, you know, when you are going to an interview, you have to be there at least 15 to half an hour before the time. And Jamaicans don't know time, so therefore that is one other factor.
Music has a lot to do with it. Music nowadays influence the youths to, you know, think differently. So
I think employers are expecting them to have experience, and in order for them to get experience, they need jobs. So that's kind of a oxymoron there.
They don't really want to do the work. All they want is just the money, and sometimes that don't really work. You know, you have to put in the effort.
Space got too much old people that hold some space where some young people should have take a real thing.
Lack of education prevents some people from getting a good job in Jamaica. Lack of a computer to write a resume has been getting me no job for a while because I want a laptop and a phone to get called in the first place. I can't get a job as yet. I want a job. So look for a job for me on TV. Alright, love.
Want to impress a potential employer? Here's an idea.
Some outside the box kind of thing, you know. Let's, for example, now, your resume, more often than not, is sent by email. You can have links in the email that take you to your website, take you to your portfolio, take you to descriptions of projects that you have done and so on. So it's nice and tight if the person wants additional information. And here's the last project. So, you know, whatever things that you're doing that can be loaded on a website, now that looks different. You know, video clips, you can have video clips from projects that you did, things that you were involved in and so on. So you bring the resume to life. It could even have you making a statement, you talking to the person. So when you click on their active links on, those are things that are kind of out of the box. So, this person is thinking differently. And to a large extent, you know, you're talking about your skills. If you say you have a skill and you can show them the skill, the best way to do so is via a link, a live link that takes you to a website or takes you to a page that you have uploaded.
Here's a good point to note when dealing with your references.
A critical element of job search is references. And I usually not encourage people to put the references on the resume, because one of the things that if the resume has the reference on them, people may actually call your reference before they talk to you, because they get the resume, they like it, they call the reference right away. By the way, is Annika what kind of person? No, if you haven't spoken to that person in the last 6 months, and they say, Annika, I don't know who that is. I mean, it's sound away. So that we usually prefer that, say that references will be furnished upon request. And the time that you give your reference list is many times after the interview, and they ask, do you have references? Could be, and then you tell them, yes, I will furnish it before the day ends, I will give them to you. Now, why I like to do that is that I much rather you talk to your reference before the person called them for information, because you want to be fresh in the reference's mind. So that talk to your reference. Oh, by the way, you said it was okay for me to use you as a reference, right? And here is a copy of my present resume, so you can see what I've been doing and where I am now. And here is a copy of the job I'm applying for. The only thing that's probably can get more weight than the resume that people again overlook is the cover letter. The typical cover letter is wasted. Dear sir or madam, I'm applying for the post of so-and-so seen in the papers on encloses my resume. Use the cover letter to answer every question you saw in the ad. Every question you saw, well, I have so-and-so and I have done so and I can do this. You draw from the resume to describe yourself as it relates to the ad, the position you're applying for. Anything they ask in the cover letter that you don't have, offer them something else in return. You require 3 years experience. I have worked for 2 years, but the things I've accomplished in 2 years is equivalent to probably 5. Sell yourself. So people read cover letter in detail, and then now they go to the resume to find the specific additional information. The sir or madam, I rather you not do that. Jamaica is a relatively small place. Do a little research, find out who you're writing to. It's more impressive. I am concerned when somebody writes to Lakem Samaj and Company. That's my company, that's the legal name of the company. And they write, dear sir or madam. No, you took no time to figure out Lakem Samaj and Company, even your wildest guess. So if you can figure out who's the HR man, who you're writing to, address your communication directly to a person. Dear sir or madam, you didn't do any work. It's very important that you do some research. There are people who just get desperate and they send to everything they see without any thinking, now, what do these people really do? What can I? Because there are ways in which if you understand the company, if you know the company, you can even communicate with them even when they have no post being advertised. You can talk about their product, their services, but here's what I can do for you. Here's what I can add value. So the more research you do, the more information you have, is the more you're able to make the connection between what you can do for them. General business world realize that resumes have limitations because a resume is a self-report. Somebody made it up. It's like an advertising campaign. Somebody designed it and you can have it done professionally. So that we take it with a grain of salt. We look for things that are quantifiable and verifiable. So we know that. In the same way that an interview is a performance. Some people are very good at performing. They have good acting skills. So that's all part of the game, we know that. So that you want to make sure that whatever is on the resume, persons don't write it off as fluff or as just something that you're doing, but it's something that you can back up, because it's very embarrassing now. All these wonderful words on the resume, and when you turn up, you are nothing compared to the person that you purport to be in the resume. But the resume will get you in the door, it will get you an interview, but then whatever you have there, you must rise to the occasion and be able to defend what you have on that resume. If you are applying for a security job, and everybody go just casual and so on, and you have on a long sleeve shirt and tie, them hiring you same time to be supervisor, because you have upped the game.
If followed, the tips given by Dr. Samaj should help you to complete an exceptional resume. But as he emphasizes, a resume is only the first step. Next is the interview.
The best preparation for an interview is a practice. There are persons who have never practiced interviews. Okay, it's a performance. So even have a friend of yours, please, you interview me now. Just ask me some questions and so on and things, so you realize how you're coming across. And the wonderful thing now, we all have smartphones, so you can tape yourself. See what you look like, what you sound like. Is your voice for a woman, too high-pitched? You kind of pull it down an octave or so. If you have all kinds of innuendos and little things, you want to edit. You want to get your voice into the more commonly understandable frame. Yes, we speak Jamaican and we speak English. So could you move your speech more to English? Because it sounds like, boy, you want to see, boy, done it, the last job, I'm going to work, I'm going to shot the work, boy. Cute, but it's not your brethren, Hey, dog, no, you can't. You want to keep it as within the context. Let me talk about one of the biggest things that people overlook. To ask, oh, by the way, what kind of interview is this? Will it be one person interviewing me or a panel? It's a big difference, And if it's a panel, well, who will be on the panel? if the HR manager, and so on and so on. So because you need to position yourself. If you're being interviewed by just one person, it's easy. If you're being interviewed by a panel, it's a different preparation. Huh? I'm sure people can identify with this, that you had no idea it's going to be a panel of 6 people interviewing you. And when you walk in the room, you see these 6 people behind the table. And you take a deep breath and so ask that question. Huh? And by the way, just be clear, where is the interview? Exactly where, what's the address? And you write it down, and if you're not too sure how to get there and where to park and what bus, do the dry run the day before, because you can't be late for an interview. So ask those questions. You don't, listen, I couldn't find the place, sir, and you're half hour late. No, all of those questions are things you get out of the way before. You want to make sure that you're properly dressed for the interview. Most women don't have a problem, because if you take it from graduation, most women go to graduation and they look very presentable. They could go from the graduation to a job interview. The guideline for women is that anything that is too earrings, the big hoops and so on, and when you're getting dressed in the morning for an interview, anything that catches your eye, take it off. You just want a knob or a small hoop. No gaudy makeup, whatever you normally wear, just as if you're going to work. It's not dance you're going, right? Men, I usually encourage them, all right, no bother with your ears ring today. Huh? A lot of males don't realize that sneakers is not shoes. And the basic thing for a man, a white shirt, long sleeve shirt, and a tie. Now, why white shirt? You can put any tie with it. If it's a management position, you must wear a suit. Those are the rules of the game. Now, if you go there with a tie and you go in, everybody's coming, and they may no, we don't need a tie, that's why you can take it off. But if you go without a tie and everybody have on tie and thing, you're in trouble. So you go with a tie. I've told young men that, listen, if you are applying for a security job and everybody go just casual and so on, and you have on a long sleeve shirt and tie, them hiring you same time to be supervisor, because you have upped the game. Nails must be clean. All of these things properly groomed. When you enter a room, people make decisions about you within 2 seconds before you open your mouth. What do you look like? How do you present yourself? So you're making sure that how you present yourself is not taking anything away from you. Once you enter the room, and with all due respect, and your pants way down around your bottom and so on, and you are sending a cue that, I want to look like thief. I want to look like, so those kind of cues don't help you. Present something that say, I'm a professional. Whatever it is you're doing now, whatever it is you're applying for, persons must be comfortable with you. A smile as you enter, a positive handshake, you're offered a seat, you thank you. So all of that before you open your mouth.
This has been part 1 of our 2-part special on how to be employable. You can see part 2 next Tuesday at 8 p.m. here on Business Access TV.